Thank you, Madam President. I rise today to honor the brave men and women in North Carolina and across the nation who serve in law enforcement. This is an emotional week for the law enforcement community as thousands of officers and their families come to our nation's capital for National Police Week. They're paying tribute to brave officers who were killed in the line of duty while protecting our communities. Unfortunately, North Carolina is all too familiar with law enforcement officers making the ultimate sacrifice. I want to take a moment to recognize some of the law enforcement officers who were killed in the line of duty since last year's Police Week and Memorial. Last September, Forsyth County Sheriff's Deputy Austin Rudelhuber was killed in a head-on collision while on patrol. He is survived by his wife and two daughters. Last December, we lost Sergeant Russell Jones of Pamlico County Sheriff's Office. He was attempting to halt an altercation at the Pamlico County Detention Center, and during the encounter with an inmate, Sergeant Jones was punched in the face, leading him to collapse minutes later and die. Sergeant Jones served with the Pamlico County Sheriff's Office for 4 years. He's survived by his mother and two sisters. In December of last year, we lost Philip Dale Nix of the Greensboro Police Department. He was a sergeant in the police department, and Sergeant Nix was off duty at a local gas station when he observed 3 individuals stealing alcohol. When he tried to intervene, they shot him and killed him on sight. Sergeant Nix worked for the Greensboro Police Department for more than 22 years. He's survived by his wife and son. Just a few weeks ago, on April the 29th, a task force of federal, state, and local law enforcement, led by the U.S. Marshal Service, attempted to serve an arrest warrant for a fugitive at a residence in Charlotte. Instead of surrendering, the fugitive shot at him, and during an hours-long standoff, 4 members of the task force were killed. It's one of the deadliest assaults on law enforcement in this country in nearly a decade. Police officer Joshua Eiler served 6 years with the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department. He's survived by his wife and his 3-year-old son. Sam Palucci and Alden Elliott were both 14-year veterans of the North Carolina Department of Adult Correction. Palucci is survived by his wife and 2 sons, one graduating from college, another from high school in a few weeks. Elliott is served by his wife and son. U.S. Marshal Deputy Thomas Weeks, Jr. was a 13-year veteran of the Marshal Service. He's survived by his wife and 4 children. Words alone cannot express the pain and loss each of these families have gone through. They lost a loving husband, parent. Their lives will never be the same. However, they're never going to be alone, because in the wake of these tragic losses, we've seen communities unite and rally to support these families. In each instance, we witnessed an outpouring of love for the fallen officers and support for law enforcement. Congress should follow the example the communities have set. We can show our respect for law enforcement by taking the dangers and threats they face seriously, especially when they are deliberate, like the tragedy we witnessed in Charlotte last month. That's why I introduced and reintroduced the Protect and Serve Act this Congress. Most people would be surprised to learn that intentionally harming or attempting to harm a law enforcement officer in this country is not a federal crime. This bipartisan language will change that. It sends a strong message to criminals that assaulting a law enforcement officer is inexcusable and will be met with the full weight of our nation's criminal justice system. Law enforcement has our backs every single time they put on a uniform and go on patrol. The least that Congress can do is to signal to law enforcement that we have their backs too by passing the Protect and Serve Act. They need our support now more than ever. To the men and women in law enforcement in North Carolina and across this country, I want to say thank you for putting on the uniform every day to keep us safe. You deserve our gratitude. To the families of the fallen officers, please know that while you lost a loved one, your community lost a hero, and we will never forget their service and their sacrifice. God bless them all, God bless their families, and God bless law enforcement across this great nation. Thank you, Madam President.